Now, coming your way on Golden State Warriors today, we'll talk about whether or not it makes sense for Carmelo Anthony to replace Andre Iguodala if Iggy decides to retire after a future Hall of Fame career. But before we start to get it shaken, I want to hit you with today's poll question. If you had to pick one player to be on this Warriors roster this upcoming season, are you going Carmelo Anthony type CA or Andre Iguodala type AI? Get those votes in, and with that, let's start today's show. All right, here we go. Appreciate all of you for making today's show a part of your day. It is Golden State Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. And before we get to Carmelo Anthony and Andre Iguodala, we have to hit on a really crazy, wild, weird story that when I saw the quotes from Stephen A. Smith voicing some concerns about Jonathan Kuminga, I sat back and said, wow. Now, I'll relay my thoughts on what Stephen A. had to say about a player who's still only 20 years old, but it is interesting nonetheless. Now, you look at the numbers that Jonathan Kuminga put forward in year one with the Golden State Warriors after getting drafted number 7 overall, and there were so many flashes from this guy who has so much potential still. 9 points per game as a rook, 3+ rebounds, shot around 51% from the floor, and a little less than 34% from three. For a team that won a championship, those numbers for a rookie who doesn't have a lot of basketball experience and last year was a teenager, very, very impressive. And there was a lot of good with what we saw from Jonathan Kuminga, both when he was playing on this Warriors team when they were at full strength, but also when some of the star players were out, he was thrust into larger action and a larger role, and I thought that he played really well and had some of those wow splash plays. Jonathan Kuminga, at the end of the day, has tantalizing athletic potential. The Warriors saw that in him in the pre-draft process. They saw it when he was playing at the G League level. And I think that's a big reason why Draymond Green went up to Bob Myers and texted him on draft night and said, pick Kuminga here at number 7. He has extremely high upside defensive potential as well. This guy can guard multiple positions, and I think over time he can become one of the best defenders in the National Basketball Association, and as part of that, switchability on both ends of the floor. But I said this at the time when the Warriors had drafted him, that there were pre-draft concerns about Jonathan Kuminga. At the G League level, he was extremely inconsistent, very up and down, got off to a really good start, and then kind of tailed off at the end of the year. And a lot of people believe, and believed at that time, the reason for his drop-off in play was because of his work ethic, and he wasn't taking his craft all that seriously. Now, it's really hard to not take your craft seriously when you play with the Golden State Warriors, considering you have the most selfless superstar of all time in Steph Curry, but also probably the best basketball culture that we've seen in a really long time, and they make everybody better. So for Jonathan Kuminga to not improve and for him to not display a work ethic is a little bit of a concern. As for those concerns, we'll get to that around the corner from Stephen A. Smith as to what he said on First Take. First, though, I want to hear from you in the comment section, Dub Nation, because your basketball acumen is something that we really value here on the channel. How would you grade Kuminga's rookie year? A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know right now down below. To the much anticipated quotes from Stephen A. Smith on Jonathan Kuminga, I won't really do my Stephen A. Smith voice unless I'm really, really tempted. But he said, I'm worried about Kuminga. I'm hearing too many things about him off the court in terms of his head, the level of discipline he lacks. You understand? Some foolishness. I'm not getting into his personal business. I'm not saying nothing like that. I'm talking attitude. I'm not talking actions. I'm saying that attitude, the level of focus, commitment, determination, just putting your head down, doing the work. Okay, I'll stop. I'm hearing that he's shortchanging the Warriors in that regard, and he's got to get his act together because I'm a Jonathan Kuminga fan. Now, you can rate the Stephen A. Smith impersonation A, B, C, D, or F as well, or to change it up from that Kuminga question on a scale of 1 to 100. 1 trash, 100 very good. Have some fun in the comment section. In all seriousness, though, look, I understand what Stephen A. Smith said and some of the concerns that he might have, and honestly, as I'm about to talk about, maybe somebody leaked it. But let's look at the positive here, glass half full. Jonathan Kuminga is just 20 years old, and there's a chance that this guy is just immature. And we have to realize and think about this from this standpoint. You're a professional athlete, especially a guy like Kuminga who didn't grow up in the United States. The culture here is different. The rigors of the NBA is different. That's why it's the best professional basketball league in the world. What it takes to be great is certainly something that you have to tap into, and you cannot get by with just tapping into your athleticism. So, Jonathan Kuminga, if he's not working hard and he's shortchanging the Warriors, that's kind of disrespectful for an organization that makes everybody better. But I'll tell you this, if the Warriors want this out there, and if they wanted it out there, and there's a source within that organization that leaked this to Stephen A. Smith, is there a reason that this got put out there in the public sphere and it got leaked to Stephen A. Smith so that he could go on First Take in front of his huge worldwide platform and say these types of things to inject a little bit of motivation toward Jonathan Kuminga? There's a possibility for that, because if Kuminga sees that Stephen A. Smith is saying these things on a national scope, maybe he feels disrespected. Maybe he feels slighted. Maybe he feels as though, shoot, the Warriors aren't impressed with what I'm doing, and maybe I'm not tapping into my fullest potential. I got to show the organization that drafted me at number 7 overall, that showed faith in me, that they made the right decision, and I'm going to make good on my promise to them that I'm going to be the best basketball player out there. So certainly very, very interesting nonetheless. Now we'll get to Carmelo Anthony and Andre Iguodala coming up here in just a few minutes. First, though, if you were subscribed to Golden State Warriors today, I want to hear from you in the comment section right now. Type real one, because we greatly appreciate all of your support. And if you are subscribed, you are a real one. If you haven't, do so right now. It's my goal to get the 45,000 subs with this video. And if we don't, the bosses are telling me I might be banned from Golden State Warriors today for a whole calendar month. I don't want that to happen. Hit that red sub button down below for the best, most informative, and entertaining Warriors coverage year-round. It's youtube.com/WarriorsTV. Even easier, hit that red sub button. Now, going back to Jonathan Kuminga, I'm a believer in him. I like the athletic potential. I've always said, coming into the NBA draft, I had said he could be a future Jaylen Brown. You go back and watch Jaylen Brown at California. When he was playing college basketball, he was so raw, could barely dribble, couldn't really shoot, didn't really develop a jump shot at all, and that's what Jonathan Kuminga can become. An athlete who needs to fine-tune his game and develop over time. And if he's able to do that, I do think that Jonathan Kuminga can be a Jaylen Brown type of player. But it won't come without hard work. Jaylen Brown, he's been in the lab. He has been devoted to his craft. He's been able to take huge steps forward in his game on both ends of the floor because he cares. And if Jonathan Kuminga doesn't care, sayonara, Warriors will say so long soon enough. Have you followed us on Rumble here on YouTube, approaching 45,000 subs as I talked about, but also a bunch of content creators put their content on Rumble as well, including us here at Warriors Today, and sometimes we put videos there that you can't find anywhere else. Bad read by me. Rumble.com/WarriorsTV. Hit that green follow button. If you have followed us on Rumble, type S for you being very smart and intelligent. Type G for I'm going to. I'm not giving you another option. That's why you got to give us a follow today. Okay, I teased it at the start of the show. Could Carmelo Anthony replace Andre Iguodala if Andre Iguodala does retire? This is something that Blue Man Hoop, the blog, that does a good job of covering the Warriors, explored, and they made the case for Carmelo to replace Andre Iguodala if he does retire. And yes, Anthony's been in the league for a minute since the early 2000s, and he's sitting here in his late 30s, and his basketball life is certainly going to come to an end at some point soon. But last year, with the Los Angeles Lakers, 69 games played, nice. 26 minutes per night, 13 points per game. He connected on 44% of his shots. Most importantly, though, the defense was improved and the three-point shot also improved at nearly 38%. So Carmelo in a bench role with the Warriors would certainly make a lot of sense. And actually, I think he'd be able to be a pretty high-impact player considering his role. Here's what Blue Man Hoop said, and then I'll react to this with my own thoughts. Golden State would be able to count on Carmelo being available and ready to score off the bench. As for Iggy, his health isn't the only concern. He hasn't been the same, that's no secret. He's hardly a threat to shoot the ball, and his athleticism has dwindled enough to keep him from applying pressure on the rim. He could pass the ball, sure, but even his defense has declined in recent years. Anthony, on the other hand, has never been known for his defense, but on a quality defensive team like the Warriors, Melo will hold his own. He's also a strong rebounder, hauling in little more than 4 rebounds per game last year. And winning a championship is something that Melo hasn't checked off his list yet. The Dubs can provide him one final chance to get this job done, and he can actually help them along the way. And I do think that Carmelo would be able to help this basketball team on a strictly bench role. You give him 15 to 20 minutes per night, he can knock down some threes. He can post up from the mid-range and knock down that sweet J. Defensively, he can at least hold his own down low with a little bit of effort. And honestly, I've seen the shape that Carmelo Anthony is in with some of the workouts that have gone down this summer, especially in Brooklyn, working alongside some of the other best players in the NBA. And Carmelo, to be honest, does look really good. So if you had to pick one, who are you picking to be on this roster this upcoming year, considering the decline of Iggy, and put your biases aside, and the recent solid play of Carmelo Anthony? Once again, get those votes in, and as always, Dub Nation, appreciate all of you for watching today's show.